My daughter-in-law accused me of manipulating my grandkids with money after I paid their house down payment and gave them $3,000 monthly for years, so I cut off all support. And now she's begging without ever apologizing. I'm 60 years old. I've been a widow for almost 8 years now. I run the farm that my husband and I built together over 30 years. And I need to tell this story because what happened with my son, Gregory, and his wife, Brittany, basically destroyed my relationship with my grandchildren. And I can't keep holding this in because it's eating me alive from the inside. I guess I should start by explaining how we got to this point. Because none of this makes sense if you don't understand how much I've given, how much I've sacrificed, and how it all fell apart over something as stupid as jealousy. Gregory is my only son. He's like 35 now, and he's always been a good kid. You know, responsible in his own way, hardworking. But he also has this problem with not knowing how to set boundaries, especially with his wife. He met Brittany about 12 years ago. They got married fast. Too fast if you ask me. But well, I wasn't going to be that meddling mother-in-law who has an opinion about everything. Brittany has her way of being. She's a stay-at-home mom. She decided not to work since Cameron was born. My oldest grandson, who's 7 now. And then came Jordan, who's 5. From the beginning, it was clear that money was going to be tight on one salary, and I, like any mother who can help, started lending them a hand. I'm not saying this to brag, but the farm did well for my husband and me over the years. We worked hard, invested well, and when he died, I kept managing it with help from good employees. I have financial stability, let's say. I'm not a millionaire, but I don't have to worry about bills either. So when Gregory and Brittany started looking for a house, I helped them with the down payment. It was like $50,000. A considerable amount, but I wanted my grandchildren to have a stable home. Then came the private school tuition for Cameron, because Brittany insisted that public schools weren't good enough, and well, I paid for that too. It was like $1,200 a month. On top of that, I gave them money for emergencies, for when the car broke down, for when they needed new furniture, for all kinds of things. The truth is, I felt good helping them. I know it sounds weird, but after my husband died, the farm felt very empty and very quiet, and being able to be an active part of my grandchildren's lives gave me purpose. Cameron and Jordan came to the farm almost every weekend. I took them to feed the animals. We had this old horse named Chester, and the kids loved giving him carrots. We played in the barn. I made them cookies. That kind of thing grandmas do. You know what I mean? Those were my favorite moments of the week. I literally looked forward to those visits like they were Christmas. Then 2020 came, and you know what happened? The pandemic basically destroyed everything. Gregory worked in administration for a logistics company, and they laid him off in April of that year, right when everything got bad. Suddenly, they had no income, and I started helping them a lot more. I'm talking like $3,000 a month to cover their basic expenses, plus Cameron's tuition, plus the house payment when they couldn't make it. Brittany still didn't want to work. She said the kids needed her at home, that with the pandemic it was dangerous to go out, that she couldn't risk her health. And, well, Gregory wasn't earning anything, so I covered everything. This went on like this for almost 2 years. Gregory eventually got another job but was making less than before, and basically I was still the one keeping their standard of living afloat. I never complained, never told them, hey, this is too much, never made them feel bad about needing help. Why would I? They're my family, they're my grandchildren's parents, and I had the ability to help, so I helped. Simple as that. But I started noticing changes in Brittany around late 2021, early 2022. She became more distant with me, kind of short when we talked on the phone, and she started canceling the kids' visits to the farm. She always had some excuse. That Cameron had homework, that Jordan had a cold, that they had family plans, anything. I tried not to push because I didn't want to be that annoying grandmother. But it hurt. Honestly, it hurt a lot because my weekends became lonely again and I missed my grandchildren terribly. In the summer of 2022, I decided to do something special and took them to Disneyland, Cameron and Jordan. It was a week-long trip. Just the 3 of us. Gregory and Brittany said it was okay. In fact, Brittany seemed happy to have a week without the kids. And well, it was amazing. The kids had so much fun. Cameron kept telling me, "Grandma, you're the best. I love you so much." And Jordan wouldn't stop hugging me and asking me to carry him even though he's getting big. We took like 1,000 pictures, bought Mickey ears, ate churros until we got sick. It was perfect. When we came back and I showed the pictures to Gregory and Brittany, she got very quiet. She didn't say anything negative, but her face, I mean, her face said everything. She looked upset, tense, and when Cameron started excitedly telling them about the roller coasters and shows, Brittany just said, "Oh, that's nice," and went to her room. I thought maybe she was tired or in a bad mood about something that didn't have to do with me, but later I realized that's when everything really started to fall apart. The visits to the farm became even rarer after Disneyland. September passed, October, November, and I only saw the kids like 3 times in those 3 months, and they were always super short visits, like an hour max, and Brittany stayed with us the whole time, instead of letting them play with me peacefully like before. I tried asking Gregory what was going on, and he just said, "It's nothing. Mom, Brittany is stressed. You know how she is." But I knew there was something more. One day, in December, I think it was like the 10th or something, Cameron called me from Gregory's phone. Brittany wasn't home. She had gone to the hair salon or wherever she goes to get her nails done, spending money I was giving them. And Cameron told me, "Grandma, I miss you so much. When can I come to the farm again? I want to see Chester, and I want us to make cookies." It broke my heart. Literally felt like someone was stabbing a knife in my chest. I told him, "Sweetheart, I miss you too. We're going to plan a visit soon, okay?" And he said, "Okay, Grandma," but he sounded sad. I could hear it in his voice. The next day, I received an email from Brittany. She didn't call me, didn't text me, a formal, professional type email, and she basically accused me of manipulating the children against her. She said I was buying their affection with expensive gifts and extravagant trips, that I was making them see her as the bad guy because she couldn't give them those things, that I was crossing boundaries and needed to take a step back as a grandmother. I read that email like 5 times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. Manipulating? Me? The one who had been paying their bills for 2 years without asking for anything in return? I responded to her, tried to stay calm, told her it was never my intention to make her feel bad, that I just wanted to have a relationship with my grandchildren, that we could talk about any boundaries she needed to establish. She responded with another even colder email saying there was nothing to talk about, that she knew what was best for her children, and that I needed to respect her decisions as a mother. I called Gregory that night and told him, "Hey, we need to talk about what's going on with Brittany. This is getting out of control." And he, my God, he was so weak, so unable to defend our relationship. He told me, "Mom, the truth is Brittany is jealous. The kids talk about you all the time. They say they want to be with you, that the farm is their favorite place, and she feels like you're more important to them than she is." I told him, "But Gregory, that's not my fault. I don't do anything to alienate them from their mother. I'm just their grandmother and I spend time with them." And he said, "I know, Mom. But that's how she sees it. And I have to live with her. I have to keep the peace in my house." That conversation left me cold. My own son choosing to please his insecure wife instead of defending the relationship between his children and their grandmother. But, well, I still tried to fix things. I sent Brittany a message offering to have lunch with her so we could talk in person. No judgments, just 2 adults resolving a misunderstanding. She never responded. In January of this year, like the second week, I received another email from Brittany. This one was shorter and more devastating. It said that after much thought, she had decided that I could never see Cameron and Jordan again, that she needed to protect her children from my toxic and manipulative influence, that they needed to learn to value their mother without my interference, and that this decision was final and non-negotiable. Final and non-negotiable. That's how she wrote it. I sat in my kitchen, in that kitchen where I had made thousands of cookies for those kids, where I had bandaged their scrapes, where I had listened to their stories from school, and I cried like I hadn't cried since we buried my husband. You know what it feels like to be banned from seeing your grandchildren? It's like they rip out a part of your soul. I hadn't done anything wrong. Absolutely nothing. I had only loved those kids with all my heart, and now they were taking them away from me because of jealousy, because of insecurity, because of the bruised ego of a woman who couldn't stand that her children loved someone else besides her. I called Gregory and told him this can't be happening. You can't allow this. And he just said, "Mom, I can't do anything. If I go against Brittany, she's going to make my life impossible. She's going to use the kids against me. I can't risk it." I told him, "Gregory, she's already using the kids against me, don't you see? And he went quiet because he knew I was right but didn't have the courage to do anything about it. That's when I made my decision. If Brittany was going to cut me out of my grandchildren's lives, if Gregory was going to allow it like a coward, then I was going to cut the only thing that really connected me to them at this point, the money. I sent an email to Gregory, not to Brittany but directly to Gregory, telling him that from that moment on, I wasn't going to keep giving them financial support. No house payments, no tuition, no emergency money, nothing. I told him I had been very generous for years, expecting nothing in return except being able to be part of my grandchildren's lives, and that if that was no longer possible, then it didn't make sense to keep being their personal bank either. Gregory panicked. He called me like 10 times that day, sent me messages saying, "Mom, we can't survive without your help. Please reconsider. Think about the children." And I told him, "Gregory, you think about the children. You're the one allowing their mother to alienate them from their grandmother. I have nothing to reconsider." It was the hardest conversation I've had with my son in my life, but I needed to set a boundary. I needed to say no more. You're not going to use my money while treating me like I'm a danger to my own grandchildren. The following months were horrible for them. According to what I found out later, through mutual friends and vague posts from Brittany on Facebook, they had to take Cameron out of private school and put him in public. They sold one of their cars. Gregory started working a second job on weekends to cover expenses. Brittany had to start cutting back on her salon visits and online shopping. Basically, their standard of living collapsed, because it turns out $3,000 a month makes a big difference when you don't have it. Part of me felt guilty. I'm not going to lie. I thought about Cameron and Jordan having to adapt to a new school, having fewer toys, fewer outings, and it hurt because I never wanted them to suffer. But at the same time, I knew I couldn't keep allowing them to use me, to treat me like a walking wallet without giving me the basic respect of being able to see my grandchildren. In April or May, I don't remember exactly, a friend who goes to the same beauty salon as Brittany told me she had been bad-mouthing me there, that I was a bitter old woman who had abandoned my son in his time of need, that I had used my money to control them for years, that she always knew I was toxic, but Gregory didn't listen to her. I mean, can you believe it? I was the villain in her story, me, who had paid for their house, their school, their food, everything for years without asking them for anything more than letting me love my grandchildren. I let time pass. I didn't contact them, didn't send them messages, nothing. If they wanted to fix this, they had to take the first step. They had to admit they had been wrong, that they had been unfair to me. I went on with my life the best I could. I joined a book club in town, started volunteering at the local food bank, made plans to travel to Italy in the fall, things I had always wanted to do but had postponed because I was so focused on being a grandmother. In July, I received an email from Brittany. The tone was completely different. It was no longer aggressive or accusatory. It was almost desperate. It said things were very difficult financially, that they had accumulated credit card debts trying to stay afloat, that they were behind on payments and the kids were noticing the stress in the house. She asked me to reconsider my decision to cut off support, that we could find a way for everyone to be okay. What she didn't say, what she never said in that email or in the next two she sent, was, "I'm sorry." There was no apology, no acknowledgement that she had been cruel and unfair. There was only a request for money disguised as concern for the children. I didn't respond to her. I still haven't responded to her. Gregory has called me a couple of times. Awkward conversations where he doesn't really apologize either, but hints that maybe we all rushed into things, that maybe we can start over. I've told him I'm willing to talk when Brittany is ready for a real apology and to allow me to be part of Cameron and Jordan's lives again. But until that moment, there's nothing to discuss. The farm continues to be my refuge. Chester died in August, and that was very sad. I cried like I had lost a friend because, in a way, I had. He was my last link to the days when the kids came every weekend. But I've also found peace in the silence. In not having to worry about whether Brittany is going to cancel another visit, in not feeling that constant anxiety of knowing my grandchildren are out there, but I can't see them. I've been thinking about creating a scholarship fund in my husband's name for children from low-income families who want to study agriculture or veterinary medicine, something that leaves a legacy beyond this family that fell apart. My lawyer says it's an excellent idea and that I can structure it so the money helps many young people in the coming years. I like the idea that something good can come out of all this pain. Sometimes I wonder if Cameron and Jordan remember me, if they ask about me, if they miss the farm. I have pictures of them all over the house. I can't take them down, even though it hurts to see them. Cameron riding Chester. Jordan covered in flour after helping me make cookies. Both of them running through the field chasing butterflies. Those memories are real, even though I can't make new ones anymore. I don't know how this story is going to end. Maybe someday, when Cameron and Jordan are older, they'll come looking for me, and I can tell them my version of what happened. Maybe they'll understand that I never stopped loving them, that it was their mother who built this wall between us for reasons only she understands. Or maybe they'll never know. Maybe they'll grow up believing their grandmother simply disappeared from their lives for no reason. What I do know is that I'm not going back just because things are difficult for Gregory and Brittany. Respect can't be bought with money, and love shouldn't be conditioned on how much you're willing to pay. I did what I had to do to maintain my dignity. And even though it hurts every day, even though I miss my grandchildren with every fiber of my being, I know I made the right decision. Last week, I drove by the public school where Cameron goes now. Not on purpose, but because it was on the way to the supermarket. I saw him in the playground during recess, playing soccer with other kids. He looked good, happy even, and that gave me some peace. Jordan must be in preschool now, probably at that same school too. I kept driving without stopping because I don't want to cause them problems. I don't want Brittany to have an excuse to say I'm stalking them or something like that. This is my reality now. A grandmother who has all the love in the world to give but no grandchildren to receive it. A woman who learned the hard way that generosity without limits can become a weapon in the wrong hands. Someone who chose her own dignity over keeping the peace at any cost, and who is living with the consequences of that choice every single day.